thank you for joining us. We are on the third episode of Brew Talk, brought to you by Erie Street Gastropub, located at 839 Erie Street. And today we are joined by Jason Barsotta from Craftheads Brewing Company. Jason, thank you for joining us.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
And to start things off on Brew Talk, before we can even begin talking, we've got empty cups.
We do.
We should fill these cups.
They need to be filled.
So you brought with you a selection of Crafthead beers today.
Yeah, this is just kind of a random assortment of things that we have in the fridge right now.
Fantastic.
Is there a style that you kind of want to go for first, or
all of them?
I mean, I have a lot down here. There's a lot in the bag of tricks down here, but yeah, I mean, if we want to start off with the Flamingo, I feel like that's a fairly easygoing one to start with.
You tell me what we're drinking. Yeah. Oh God, do we have a bottle opener?
Yes, I have one.
A wallet.
On lock all the time. Wallet Ninja.
The Wallet Ninja.
Yeah.
Our new sponsor, Wallet Ninja.
I mean, we should get Craftheads ones because use it all the time. But
right.
But yeah.
That would sell. Something like that downtown.
Oh, yeah.
So Craftheads is located downtown Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
It has been around for 7 years now?
Yep. We celebrated our 7th year anniversary this past year, going on 8, which with the pandemic is... You know what? I think it's something to celebrate, right?
Awesome. So the idea behind Brew Talk is a platform for you as a brewer to talk about yourself, because who doesn't like to talk about themselves? But talk about where you've been and where you're here now. Being the brewer at Craftheads, you've experienced a lot of fun, interesting styles.
Always
beer.
Adventurous.
But we're not here to talk about Craftheads. We will, but we're not here to talk about Craftheads. We're here to talk about Jay. So to start things off, Jay, why don't you give me a little bit of your backstory? Where did you start?
Well, when I turned 19, my parents, instead of just buying me alcohol outright, they actually brought me down to Jake's Brew Shop.
Hey, I know that place.
And they bought me a brew your own kit. It was an Irish stout, I believe, was my first one. And me and my dad, we kind of did it as like a fun bonding thing, which I think a lot of brewers, they kind of start off that way too, with the family. Mm-hmm. That was the first one, and wasn't great, not gonna lie, but the friends drank it anyway, and they were like, "Oh, it's good. This is great." But kind of started there. I went to the University of Windsor for biology, biotechnology, so I enjoyed the science aspect behind brewing. So I kind of think that
was that all
out.
around the same time? Did you start university at 19, 20?
Yeah, so I think it was 18 when I first started in university. Oh, okay. Right, turned 19 and then kind of got going from there. But getting into like the commercial brewing scene, I had finished my undergrad, and I, like most people, don't really know where they're going. Wasn't sure if I wanted to go back to school for a master's yet, or take a year off, relax, enjoy, because I hadn't been in school for a little while. But yeah, I actually got a job at Chapter 2 Brewing Company.
Okay.
Another local brewery. Actually, Tammy, one of the previous guests, also was working at Chapter 2. But yeah, I started there as a bartender, just making some extra cash here and there for the summer. And Mike Bodwin, one of the head brewer that's still there today, I kind of talked to him, and I was like, "Oh, I'm interested in brewing. Like, I've done some home brewing at home. Is there any way I could like sit in on some brew days?" And he took me in for a few, and helped out on quite a few beer days. And then he brought me in one day, and he was like, "Hey, I need an assistant. You want to hop on as an assistant brewer?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, let's get this job going." But
now
so
I'm a commercial brewer.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sucked in.
Yeah.
But
never to leave.
No, I hope not. It's fun. It's an awesome job, and I think not a lot of people really know too much about it, especially in school. Like, they don't tell you that this is like a feasible option.
That's right. Well, we're hoping to grab a crowd here of people. Brewing is fun, folks.
It is.
It makes alcohol really cheap. But that's not why we do it. We do it because we love it. And the science, I think, is a big part of it for me as well. So you said you went to the UW for biology, biotechnology. Biology, biotechnology. And did that sway your decision into brewing at all? Or did you just already have the science bug?
In a sense, biotechnology is the use of microorganisms for commercial gain. So I suppose brewing wasn't too far of a stretch from there.
Sounds like yeast.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of how it started. I'm now at Craftheads. I've been there a couple years now. I love the guys that are there. There's only a few of us, so shout out to Brian, Will, Jesse, Mike, Kevin, Corey, Steve. Those are the guys. That's the crew.
That's the Craftheads crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So with that biotech, you do have a fascination with yeast.
I do, yeah.
The things about now, I myself, I'm a big yeast guy, so this is really, really a conversation that I really have been looking forward to having.
Yeah,
it's talking about yeast propagation. Why do you enjoy it so much?
Honestly, I kind of see it as an underutilized ingredient in beer. So like when you think beer, a lot of people think, okay, it's the hops, right? It's the malt, and those are like your main things. But it's like no. There's you're still missing the yeast, right? So I know we were talking about this before, but it's like the brewers, we make the wort, but the yeast is what makes the beer,
Absolutely.
right? So they're the ones doing the job. We're just glorified yeast farmers, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is an underutilized ingredient in beer, or I feel like a lot of larger breweries, they kind of stick with their house yeast for a good majority of their beers. And I mean, we do the same thing.
Sure.
It's safe, but at the same time, we like to experiment, explore, try different things, throwing some wild stuff here and there.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
That's the nice part, I suppose, about Craftheads is you guys do have a little bit more of an experimental style brew where you throw all of these weird things into a mash tun or throw them into a kettle or use yeasts from random things and see what you get.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. Tell us maybe some of the more fun things that you have brewed at Craftheads, or not so fun things.
I mean, in recent, we just did, actually one of them's on the table there, the BWA was a Juicy Boy series. It was actually the second year of us doing it. We like to experiment with different fruits as well, so that one kind of gave us a good chance to see what fruits work, which ones kind of ferment out completely, the ones that kind of keep their flavors going around. So I brought two of them today. I did the acai and the prickly pear.
Okay.
So we can test those out later. But yeah, and the Advent calendar is one that we it's an event that we do kind of like every year. 24 one-off beers that we really like experimenting with, and I mean the customers already bought it, so we get to kind of do whatever we want, which is fun. We do like to put in some standard things, but also course. Like our slogan is beer for the adventurous, right? Yeah. So got to throw in some fun things. This past year we did probably one of the more off the wall ones was a cock ale, which was a traditional style from the 1500s, I believe, where they actually put chicken into the beer with some other ingredients. So we used some Costco chicken and kind of threw it into the boil, and it came out really nice. It had like a nice umami kind of flavor to it. Another food one that we had done was the pizza beer. So for those of you listening that aren't in Windsor, Windsor is known for their pizza. The typical style, you get the shredded pepperoni, the green peppers, the canned mushrooms, the cornmeal on the bottom, which I think a lot of people miss. But yeah, so we did one with Dean Litzer, Pizza Doc, Armando's. Yep. He came in, helped us out, and we tried to mimic a pizza beer flavor. And it was very interesting. I'll put it that way.
I never got to try it. I heard about it, and I've over the years, but that is the one beer that like I want you guys to make it again, specifically for me, just so I can taste it.
We'll make a whole tank just for you.
That's right.
But
I only want one glass.
But yeah, it was nice because it's really off the wall, and people really, I think they wanted it more so just for the gimmick, which that's fair. But at the same time, I think we really encapsulated the flavor of it really well. I don't know if this is a good time to bring up the reviews of.
Absolutely, we can.
So we were talking about this earlier, and the pizza beer particular, it garnered some interesting reviews on Untappd. I know Eric and I, we both have our.
For those of you that are unfamiliar with Untappd, Untappd is a user review of beers, and anyone can log in and anyone can leave a review on the beers that they drank, where they got them from, and it's fine. It gives everyone a voice to speak about the beer, and as brewers, sometimes we want to hear an unfiltered raw review,
feedback
on these beers, feedback from people who don't have a cicerone or sommelier, people who just drink beer. Tell me why you like this beer. But going back to the pizza beer, the reason why I'm pulling up my phone is we have a picture here that Jason would like to go ahead.
So at Craftheads, I think one of the things that we like to do is after reading some of these, we like to make beers that maybe have like 1-star reviews, but also 5-star reviews, where you're getting people out of their comfort zone with some things, and maybe people don't like that, but I think some people really appreciate it, and so this is kind of like a perfect example. So this first review, Windsor Pizza Beer, 5 out of 5 stars. So all right. Obviously giving it a 5. Smooth, refreshing taste of pepperoni and green pepper. Who knew a beer that tastes like pizza could be so good? Windsor, that's who. So, while we're scrolling through these things as brewers, we're like, oh, okay, cool. We did a good job, right? And then directly below that.
The next review.
This is probably it's my favorite Untapped review we've ever received. 0.25 stars out of 5. I mean, this is the same beer. This beer is what I'd imagine the sweat off Jack Black's belly in Nacho Libre probably tastes like. So, I mean, I feel like that's a great way to kind of describe Untapped. It's this juxtaposition of people that really, really like the beer, and then people that hate it. And I mean, I gotta appreciate Untapped for what it is, but at the same time, I think we both have our qualms with it. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to bring that one up because I feel like that perfectly encapsulates kind of some of the things that we do at Craftheads.
Yes. The one that stands out for me is you probably can guess it before I even say it, the shawarma beer. Windsor being, big on shawarma. That was one that it was. I'm so glad you guys do flights because I don't know that I would have handled an entire can of that.
So even with the pizza beer or the whatever cock ale, shawarma beer, we do the flights for that exact purpose. Where it's like maybe just like a little 5-ounce sample, that's enough.
Yeah,
but I don't really want a full pint of anything like that, which is fair. But it's the adventure. You're putting your taste buds through an experience that they maybe haven't had before.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of grateful that the shawarma beer was before my time at Craftheads, but it's notorious. People to this day will still talk about it and they'll ask for it. Are we doing it again? And
bringing it up
really
right now.
Don't think so.
Please bring it up again so I can hate it one more time. But you guys, you have different fermenting vessels. Like you've got your big barrel systems, and then you've got your smaller, more pilot fun batch. And you've got how many 30 taps or something? You guys?
Yeah, we have 30 taps running constantly. Yeah. Which it's a hassle sometimes. You got to make some small batch things to keep the taps full, but I think that's part of the fun.
And that's where you can have a lot of fun with it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we do have we've got a couple 10-barrel tanks that we just started using in this past summer. Mm-hmm. We moved from the original brewing location, which was in a tiny little room downstairs, to a unit that's a couple doors down. We've got the 2 10-barrel tanks in there. We've got 6 3-barrel tanks and 2 2-barrel tanks, along with carboys, which we get to have probably the most fun with in those. We can just kind of put whatever we want. But yeah, like we use the bigger tanks for like your staples, like the Flamingo, Surfside, the ones that we have today, and then the Juicy Boys, the NWA there, those are the smaller ones.
Right, things that will still sell, but you can still have a little fun with them. Do you guys do like 5-gallon batches sometimes to put things on tap? Like, do you go that small? Or?
So actually, just this past week, Will, one of our brewers, he did a super small batch. Just like a Friday, we were just kind of messing around, and he did an Imperial IPA and did a Party Guile style. So he took the first runnings of that. That was the Imperial IPA, and then just kind of took the next runnings of that and did the second beer, which is kind of fun. But yeah, so like we like to kind of do those things just to throw different things on tap, experiment with different brewing styles. So that's like another interesting one, which I don't think a lot of people use too often. But yeah,
it's really cool. Like I really appreciate the niche market that you guys have kind of opened up with that rotating tap. Everything is a one-off. Like you guys have your staples, obviously, things that are always there and they've always been there. Probably a lot of them are Brian's original homebrew recipes.
Yeah, there's a few of them.
I would assume, yeah. But to have that rotation, there's certain places that when I sit down, it's like, oh, it's the same 6 beers that were on tap the last time I was in here and the time before. And it's fine. Don't get me wrong. When you've got a good beer and it's good and it's drinkable, then I know that I can go in, safely order that beer, enjoy it with my meal or with my friends. But as a beer drinker, that is my enjoyment when I go into somewhere new and sit down and it's like, what are all these wonderful new things that I can try? Give me all of them in 4-ounce glasses.
Yes. I mean, like, we kind of joke about that where it's like, it's your Build a Brewery 6-pack where you have, you know, your light yellow one, your IPA, your dark one, your amber, your sour. Maybe at this point in time, you know, that's more popular style. But yeah, I mean, at Craftheads, we still have like our staples, and one of the things I know. Actually, I'll ask a question to you.
For sure.
So when you think Craftheads, obviously you think adventurous and things like that. But do you see us only as having the niche of the adventurous kind of beers, or would you go out to Craftheads for like a regular run of the mill beer?
You know what? This is the thing: is I know that they're there. And I have had them. I have just after getting a pint or if I'm there with friends, I'll give me a good old fashioned IPA, something that I know you guys got on tap. But to me, no, when I think Craftheads, that's my thought is like, oh, they got all kinds of weird shit on there that I want to drink, you know?
Which is the fun part, right? But I think one of the things that the brewers, like we were talking this past year, we have our sit down, our January kind of staff meeting of like, oh, these are the things that we did last year and here's some things we want to work towards and work on. And I think one of the ones that we kind of stuck with was bringing it back to the basics. And not that we don't like being known for having those weird off the wall beers, but I think we also want to be known for making really good standard beers as well.
Of course.
So this year we've kind of like dialed some things back. We've put out some beers that are more on the traditional style, and I think we're going to try to move forward with some of those while still being adventurous with our small batch options. But yeah, we just want to like change the conversation about Craftheads a bit, bring people in that are used to just a beer.
Absolutely. And you guys already have that market of these wild and crazy. So with a little bit of marketing, like you've already got us.
Yeah.
When I go to Craftheads, I know I'm trying something fun.
Yeah.
You know, but to the people that are downtown that have never heard of Craftheads and they walk in and they're surrounded by all of these things that they can't even pronounce half of the things that's in them, they're not going to order it. Do you have a Bud Light back there?
So,
am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
We don't, but I think that one of the newer beers, I guess, in the past year or so that we kind of brought on was the New Vienna. Obviously a take on Old Vienna, but I mean, lawyers didn't hear that, right?
That's a classic in Windsor as well. Like we really hit the Windsor market. You go outside of Windsor and ask for an OV somewhere, and they look at you like you're crazy.
South of London, I think. Yeah. Anywhere past London, it's just like, what's OV? What is that?
Yeah. And what do you mean? So you guys have this New Vienna on tap.
Yeah. So that's the kind of the beer that we use for people that are coming off the street that maybe are tourists that they're just like, oh, it's a brewery, let's go in. And they don't necessarily want a triple IPA or a fruited session IPA with prickly pear. They just want, oh, can I just get a beer? And it's like, okay, yeah. We've kind of filled that role with the New Vienna, and then we kind of hope that after you've had one or two of them, that you're feeling a bit more adventurous and you want to step it up. So you move to a Flamingo or a Bluesberry, and then from there, who knows? Maybe it's a way that people that aren't necessarily in the craft beer scene can kind of get their way in, get their foot in the door, and it's a way that we kind of try to bring people in as well.
For sure, I really enjoy sitting down. Like if I'm at the group of friends, we'll all get at like the first round. Everyone gets a flight, right? And then maybe. Before COVID times, we were all sampling out of each other's glasses. Now maybe there's just a few of us that'll do it still. But try all these different beers, and then in your second round, then order a pint of something that you enjoyed, right? Or go to that more traditional style beer. I want to drink a Juicy Boy, but then I also want to drink a New Vienna.
Exactly.
So being behind the bar at Craftheads or Chapter 2, have you done much serving behind the bar at Craftheads?
Yeah. So actually, that's kind of how I got back in, was bartending again at Craftheads, and then kind of went from there. But yeah, I'll still pick up shifts here and there, which is nice, especially from the brewing side. You're not stuck in the dungeon all day. You know, you can get out and get some feedback from the consumers, which is nice.
Absolutely. So, being behind the bar, then I'm sure you have come across multiple characters in the industry, the guys that want to ask you about the beers that are there.
Yep.
What are some experiences that you've had behind the bar rather than behind the kettles?
So, I mean, I have like 3 typical questions that I really don't. I mean, they're the worst questions that you hear when you're behind a bar. I think the first one for us is, what kind of ales do you have?
30 of them.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So we don't do lagers per se at Craftheads. Just they take too long, right? And just for the way that our business is kind of set up, we want to move through the tanks quickly. We want to put out new products, and we do have the 30 taps that we got to put in. So, for a beer that takes up twice the amount of time, we try to steer clear of those. So when someone comes in and they're like, oh, what kind of ales do you have? And it's like, it's literally everything on the menu. So, I mean, that's one of them. I think the second one is, what's the highest alcohol strength beer you have? Which, I mean, fair question if you're going out and you're trying to have some fun, but at the same time, it's a red flag for me. Now I'm like, I'm gonna watch you because I think you're just trying to get shit faced, and you don't really care about what it tastes like.
That's right. You're here for the 45% whiskey that we're gonna dump into your barley wine.
Exactly.
I see. So
that being said, we did a barley wine, not the long one. It was delicious. So
I love a barley wine, but again, 4-ounce glass.
Yes.
Just give me just let me, like a fine scotch. I want to sip on this barley wine all night long.
Yeah. So there's those, and then and I guess we always get this one. We are downtown, so we do have the kind of like the club scene and like the other bar scene. So we do get people in that ask like, okay, to get a rum and Coke, and it's like, no, unfortunately, we don't have any hard alcohol at the moment, but
we do have a barley wine.
Yes, exactly. Which are like, oh, what's that? We did do a cocktail series a little while back as well, where we kind of incorporated some of those flavors that you'd find in your typical mixed drinks, and
that's cool. Yeah.
Which is fun. But yeah, along the same lines, it's ways that we can kind of bring people into the craft beer scene that maybe wouldn't. But yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. So being the fact that we'll go back to this new Vienna, Windsor being what Windsor is, this blue collar town.
Yeah.
You really have to try to grab a market. There's always that person that wants a blonde, or the blonde is what we give you if you're asking for a beer flavored beer. Because that's the question that I love. I want a beer flavored beer. Oh,
okay.
Describe that to me, what you would like to taste, a beer flavored beer. So your new Vienna, I guess, kind of is maybe trying to capture that market a little bit.
Yeah, it is, for sure. And I mean, I think Windsor, the industry in Windsor, we do have kind of a challenge with it being more of a blue collar. Like, obviously, we have the automotive industry in Windsor, and grateful for it. It's brought in a ton of jobs, and it makes the city as what it is, right? It built it. But yeah, we do get the people that are in that just want, I want a blue or a Bud Light or Coors, whatever it is.
And you got to find something for them.
Exactly. Right? But I think we are kind of moving in a direction where there is a lot more people kind of moving into the craft beer scene. And even if it's not beer per se, one of the ones I don't know if you're close to done your drink there.
Yeah.
One of the ones that we've been working on is seltzers, trying to bring seltzers in because it's all the rage right now. And I think, which one's that? So they're all on the side.
Lemon lime.
I've got a couple different ones here if you want to peruse.
Sure.
Ones, but,
so Windsor being Windsor, and we do have that blue collar scene. It's nice to be able to offer something up so when people hear the term craft beer, because when someone comes in and orders a Bud Light, it's like, I really wish that you would just try this beer. It's still a light, easy to drink beer, but because it has craft beer before its name, you're already done with it.
Yeah, it's a turnoff for a lot of people immediately, which it's not brewed on a giant macro scale. So it's like it's got some flavor in there.
This beer does not taste like water, and I want more.
Cue the seltzer,
That's right. Yeah, here comes the seltzer.
But I mean, I think the seltzer, is another kind of way of bringing people in that maybe wouldn't. You get the younger crowd now that haven't been in the craft beer scene or just drinking the High Noons, the White Claws, things like that, and they come in and they try that and they get a flight, and they, that was
fizzy.
They try one of these ones and they start with that in their flight, and then they get some other things, and it brings them into the industry.
Yeah, seltzers are kind of coming out of nowhere, and they're easy to make, but they're hard to master. And I've messed around with them a little bit, and I gave up with them because I'm a beer brewer and I don't know what I'm doing. But you guys have really kind of grabbed that seltzer market too, with your freezies.
Yes,
is a big thing. That's
the sloshies, which are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I suppose freezies is taken. The sloshies, and that is such a cool little thing too, because there's a different crowd. That's a different crowd you're grabbing. The people that come in that don't want beer, that don't want a rum and coke, but seltzers being able to be sold under the same license, that you can kind of push them a little bit. And that's a whole new group of people that are coming in, and trying something that you can still have fun with. You can utilize flavors and.
Yeah, so I mean, the seltzers are probably one of the easier ones to put in different flavors. So the one that I brought today is a 6-pack of different ones. So I think you've got the tropical punch one there. I've got the raspberry, I believe. Yeah, I got the raspberry, and then we've got watermelon, grapefruit. We did a cream soda one. We did a coffee one a while back, which was interesting, kind of playing around with those flavors. But
I hate that I like this.
Don't hate it.
No, I hate that I like it so much.
Oh, but yeah, it was kind of a work in progress. So it's been a couple years running now that we've finally kind of dialed it in, and we have it to where we want it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the philosophy that we kind of have at Craftheads, at least, is we'll put out the seltzers and I guess the new Viennas as well, because it kind of helps bankroll some of the more fun projects that we get to do, like the Juicy Boy, which. I don't know if you guys have looked at fruit puree prices, but some of them, I think the acai was probably the most expensive beer we've ever made with the Nelson Sauvin hops and acai puree. But yeah, it gets to kind of bankroll those fun projects for us.
Right. And it's things like that that bring people in the door.
This week's episode of Brew Talk is brought to you by Erie Street Gastropub, located on the corner of Erie and Ellesmere in the heart of Little Italy in Windsor, Ontario. Erie Street Gastropub is serving up a constantly rotating list of craft beers, handcrafted cocktails, and a wide variety of Ontario wines. With plenty of seating, you can enjoy our delicious Asian fusion in our dining room, spacious patio, or in our private party room.
You guys have a huge social media following compared to some of the other breweries in the area. You're very fun, very interactive, and that's that in its own, in today's day and age, with social media being what it is, it's almost free marketing. And once you get a following and people are sharing the things that you're doing, it's like, thank you, here's some more fun stuff. But when you make it interactive like that, or you're really showing the people behind the scenes, like people like to see it. And this is the whole point of this, is like, who's making the beer at Craftheads, right?
Yeah.
To talk to learn that you're just a human being too, and we understand that you are not just a slave in the machine.
No,
here.
I mean, I think that part of the process is having these kind of podcasts too, where you're giving the brewers an outlet where they can kind of explain their background, where we aren't just people stuck in the dungeon making beer all day.
Get back in the hole. Slave.
Yeah, but yeah, it's nice being able to kind of like talk about these things and kind of giving us a voice, right?
Yeah.
I forget where we were going with this.
And welcome to Brew Talk.
Yeah.
Well, we can circle back if we find that. Yeah, it's only our second drink. We haven't been drinking at work all day.
No.
Because like every good podcast episode, we both came from work today. Okay, well, here's a question that really strikes home with me, being that I'm in the same boat. When was the last time you homebrewed?
Oh. I mean, okay, so right before I started my assistant brewer position at Chapter 2, and this is 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
I had just started getting into all grain. So yeah, previous to that, it was all the extract. I think I just set up my the big orange
the cooler.
Yeah, the cooler mash tun, and I've never used it.
Yeah, there
never
it is.
used it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like a lot of people say like, oh, you're a brewer, like what do you make at home too? And it's like, well, this is my job now. You don't necessarily want to do the same thing at home that you're doing at work, And I think Craftheads is nice because if there was something that I was like, oh, I want to make this, I can just go, hey guys, you want to make this? And they go, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of gives us a little bit of an advantage.
I do find that's the name of the game. When you become a brewer, you're doing it at work all the time. It's not that I don't want to go home and do it because I love it. It's time consuming. Sure. For those of you who don't fully understand the process of beer, it takes a good 6 to 8 hours. Like your day off. Like you're spending your day off brewing beer. Or if I'm done working an 8-hour shift, I don't want to spend another 8 hours because cleanup. So it's maybe 5 hours without cleanup, and we've all left it to the next day. But to go home and brew again, it's not that I don't want to, but at the same time, like you said, if I want to brew something, I'm just going to brew it at work.
Yeah.
And I'm going to brew 50 gallons of it and then take
and it's 5 gallons home.
Too. Exactly.
So, I mean, did you end up bringing any of your beers home from the Brewers of the Universe?
Well, there wasn't a lot left. But I did keep some behind. So I was able to sneak a few extras. And actually, I got a few of the strawberry ones still.
I mean, just to get Eric's ego going a bit more, I'm going to tip my hat to him. He did win with his brews there. We did submit a couple from Craftheads, and if we want to tell this story, but I'm sitting there at the event. I went to one of the earlier sessions, and I'm tasting all beers. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this one's nice. This one, okay. And then had Eric's. It was the vanilla
iced latte.
The iced latte. I tasted that one, and I texted him immediately. I was like, "Okay, you're bringing this one home. You're bringing this home."
The best part is we were still at work. So at Jake's Brew for the day, the event being later in the evening, we were all going to the evening session because we were open until 4, and we were sampling a can of it that day as well. And it was like this beer's so good. This is so good. And then we get a text from a brewer from another bar who says, "You guys nailed it. This is the beer." And yeah, sure as shit, that one. So thank you. I appreciate you bringing that up.
No worries.
Tammy, on our first episode, we talked about her winning the
Malibu Barbie
and the People's Choice. And to me, I felt like the People's Choice, that's the winner, because that was 400 or 500 people that voted for her beer. I got 6 judges that liked mine. Hey, you know what? I'll take it. That's great. I appreciate it. But a good shout out to Tammy for really bringing home that People's Choice Award. So
I mean, we're gonna bring it. We're gonna try even harder next year. So we're bringing the competition.
I'm just gonna retire. I'm gonna retire now.
Retire the winner, and that's it.
1,000. I don't need to do this anymore. I proved myself.
Yeah, brought home the belt. That's all you need, right?
That's it. I'm not giving it up. That's mine. And a shout out to the Bearded Dog for being a part of that as well, for allowing me to come out and utilize their system, because with Jake's, we can't do that, right? So that's why we collaborated with another bar.
Bullshit red tape and all that.
Logistics. So, I guess that's part of the game though, right? It's having fun with it. And these beer festivals, I would love to see more of things like that. Now, that one was more of like a bragging rights within the scenario or within the industry. There was some texting going on between Tammy, myself, and Eric Minch of the Banded News. We were firing like chirps at each other that day.
This is friendly competition, right? I think you need competition in our industry too, just to kind of make you strive for something a bit more.
What I really enjoy about this industry, though, is it's not competition. There's no competitive edge. When I leave work, I don't need to just drink my beer. I love to go to your venue and drink your beer, or go drink Tammy or Eric's beer. And I'm not doing it because I want to. I'm doing it because I want to. I want to drink other beers. I love I can drink my beer all day long, sure, but why? Why would I want to do that when I am missing out on this value in front of me of everyone's beer?
And I think, kind of getting into this topic, I want to say that the Windsor craft beer scene, at least, we all know each other quite well. It's a really close knit kind of community. We've borrowed ingredients and things off of other breweries all the time. Shout out to Scott at Sandwich Brewing Company for being our personal homebrew store sometimes. When you guys are closed on the Mondays and we're like, oh shit, we need this. Scott,
can we get a bag of everything?
He's like, do you have rice hulls? And he's like, guys, no. And then chapter 2, Frank's been helping us out with our bigger orders of grain and other ingredients, which is really nice. But yeah, we're a pretty close-knit community. And I think one of the things that I kind of got stuck in was drinking with the 30 taps of Craftheads. We're drinking only our own beer, or drinking things that are just really hyper-local. But at the same time, I think just to keep up with the times and the things that are ever changing in the beverage industry, you got to reach out. You got to try other things too. So, I've tried quite a few up Toronto way.
Yeah.
which I think is the easy one, the easy route. But
I was just in London last week, and I stopped at Toboggan Brewing Company, and it was fantastic. I don't go out there too often, so even though we are such a tight knit community around here, and I have drank at Craftheads a lot, and I have gone to all these other sandwich and all these other places, so to get out of Windsor a little bit and get a little further out and try brews from breweries that I don't frequent, I don't know the brewer, I don't know anything about the place, and to enjoy it, right? Like, of course. Just like being a musician, listening to music, you hear things differently. Being a brewer, when you drink beer, you taste things differently.
Oh, you do.
You're looking for things or trying to pick things apart. Yeah. But if I can drink a beer from somewhere else, drink it, pick it apart, and go, damn, this is good. And now I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm not going to do that through the whole glass. I'm pick it apart. This is a good beer. Go to my conversation.
And I think the fun part is to actually a couple weeks ago, I went down to Cincinnati with my girlfriend for a little vacation. Excuse me. Oh, those seltzers are fizzy. Whew. Yeah, we went down to Cincinnati, and we had recommendation to stop at a particular brewery, Rheingeist. And over the Rhine, the neighborhood there, and it's an immaculate brewery. It's massive. They have 3 running shifts. But I mean, I guess the major difference between what you would think this like a massive brewery is, they do a lot of fun craft beers and things that you wouldn't expect to see. I think they had like 25 taps to start. So in comparison to us, it's like, oh, okay, cool. They're on our level, but they also have 200 barrel bright tanks.
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
And I think the fun thing, and I think you can attest to this as well, is there's this certain kinsmanship that all brewers have, where I was able to go in there and you like, oh yeah, I'm a brewer from Windsor, and they're like, oh yeah, like I think some of the brew staff's just finishing up their shift. You want to like chat with them? I'm like, yeah, 100%.
Yep.
So you get to talk shop with them, and then 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, you're still there talking shop with the other brewers, which you've never met before, but you can have this extended conversation with about the industry while your girlfriend's over there on her phone being like, when the fuck is it done?
Can we go home
exactly.
now? That's part of the tight-knit community. Like, even if we leave here and go to a different city, the second you start getting into, you're all in it. You know how it goes. You know the things that go into it, and they're taking you through tours in the back. Yep. And after 3 or 4 beers, you're arm and laughing.
I have some pictures with a couple of guys there.
It is a tight-knit community, even if we don't know each other.
Exactly.
Like the hop farm every year. One of our local hop suppliers, Hops Connect, Robbie.
Saw Robbie today.
He throws a party. We grow a certain strain of hop here in Essex County, Sasquatch hops, and we've all used them. And our local hop supplier, he throws a big thank you to all of the supplier or all of the brewers that utilize. And so we all get together once a year. And it's just all of the brewers in the area, and we just get absolutely stupid.
A shit show.
It's a shit show and a half, but it's fun, and it's that tight knit community. Guys that I've only spoken to once, or guys that I've spoken to 100 times. By the end of the night, we're arm in arm, and we're singing, and we're drinking each other's beer, and sharing laughs and stories. But it's shop talk at the same time.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize with the brewing community, that we're all kind of butting heads and we're all against each other. And so Brian, one of the owners at Craftheads, when I first came on, I wanted to learn more about like the business aspect. I had done the brewing, which is awesome, but I wanted to learn more about the business, the marketing, the planning that goes into running a brewery. And one of the things that he kind of told me, he told me that there's 2 ways of running a business. There's red water, which is the cutthroat. It's the undercut your competition, try to nickel and dime everyone for all they have. And I mean that is a way of running a business, but I feel like it's stressful, right?
Yeah.
And he said there's another way of doing it. It's like the blue water, where you find your niche, you stick with it, and you kind of have fun on your own, and it comes along. The people will come if the beer's good, right? So I think that's one of the things that we try to do at Craftheads, and I think the industry, at least in Windsor, Essex, I think is kind of along the same lines. I know there's a few bigger breweries that have to go that route, but yeah, I think that's one of the advantages that we have at Craftheads, or like our small local businesses, where we can kind of have our own niche, we have our own following, and we're able to kind of sustain ourselves and have some fun along the way.
Wise words from the legend himself. Now, you guys being downtown, you have the market down there.
Yeah.
So the night market, you guys are a big part of that. It's right up the road from you.
Yeah, we just had that this past weekend. We actually christened the event space. We were the first ones to serve any alcohol in that back alley. So that alley's awesome.
That just sound, we were the first ones to serve alcohol in the back alley.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on down, kids. Get yourself a glass.
No, but it was a lot of fun. It brought a lot of people out, and we're hoping that we can keep that going. But I mean, like the farmers market on the Saturdays too is a lot of fun. You get to meet new people. I've worked it quite a few times now. Me and Mike, one of the bartenders, we switch back and forth on the weekends, and it's, you get up pretty early to get down there, but you get to meet a lot of people. You get to talk shop, and
there's the vibe too. That market, right?
There's no unhappy people at the farmers market.
Never.
And I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's like you get down there and you're just like, everyone's having a good time. It's great.
Because everyone's up that early on a Sunday is happy. If I'm up that early on a Sunday, I'm not happy. So I'm not.
It brings a certain crowd in, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm still sleeping. So that being said, talking about like the markets and beer festivals, Michigan being right across the street from us, and all of the things that Michigan's known for, where do you think that Windsor Essex County can change to maybe utilize the space that we have, the people, the resources that we have, being surrounded by farmland? We have so much access to fresh fruit and fruit purees, local. Excuse me. So all of these local ingredients that can be locally sourced to utilize what we have around us. Like, where do you think that Windsor Essex is going to be going in that market?
Yeah, so I mean, we do have like the wine scene in Windsor Essex already to start, which is really nice. But I think the more brewers kind of get into those adventurous modes, like I'm sure you've kind of seen all those slushy beers and things like that, where it's essentially, for a lack of a better way of describing it, it's essentially just carbonated alcohol fruit puree, which is fine. It's great. I cracked one today from Third Moon. It's an interesting experience. But I mean, I think it's going to be nice in the next little while, like people actually doing more of the fruited beers. We were talking a bit earlier about bringing in those local beers or like the local ingredients. One of the things we were talking about earlier was, has anyone done a true farm to table beer?
Right.
Where you've taken, the malt that's been grown, the barley, malt it yourself.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe use hops you've grown on your own property, and then fruits, whatever it may be. But then I think one of the more interesting kind of concepts is harvesting your own yeast that may be on your property.
Yes.
And incorporating that into the beer as well to make it a truly hyper-local product, which I think is kind of fun.
That is right up my alley and right up your alley, especially with the yeast propagation. So many people don't, like you said, most breweries, they have their house strains, SO5, that everyone uses. But you're right. It's yeast being what it is, it's consistent. People can rely on it. They know it's going to work. I need to make this beer. And you know what? Use it for your staples. Use it for the beers that you want to make sure have the continuity, that someone's going to come in 6 months from now and go, I was here 6 months ago and I had this beer. Yep, that's what I remember it being. It could be totally different, but that's how the palate works with the brain. But to go around and be able to take yeast from something, from a tree, from your dog, from the beard of the guy that sits at the bar all the time. Now, I don't know that I would brew a beer with that, but you never know.
There's been weirder things.
We're not going to talk about the vagina beer. But
wait, what?
The idea of being able to do that with yeast is really cool. So you're right, that grain to table, that farm to table, all in the same thing. That is a huge thing that I would love to be a part of.
Yeah.
This is your podcast. Not my
No.
podcast. You're asking me questions now. I do work with a farm, Cranix Orchards out on Ridge Road, and I have collected yeast from their apricot trees, and they're a big peach producer. So my idea of your idea, that idea is like, it's not just, it's everyone. We want to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky enough that I kind of have access to that, and that's still in its infancy stage. We don't even have barley in the ground yet, but That's a thought that's on the table to do that. And the idea of being able to do that would be fantastic.
Yeah, just having the space, I think. As much as I'd like the downtown core to kind of grow upwards instead of outwards, because I feel like that's kind of a trend that we've seen in the past couple of years as people are moving farther and farther out from the downtown area. I think the space that we do have in the Windsor-Essex County area is prime for doing those fun kind of projects.
Exactly. Big beer festivals. Like I miss, that was the one thing about the pandemic, is it just shut that border down. And I have been just staring at Michigan going, I miss your beer festival. I want to walk around and drink 75 beers today, but I can't. So I'll just drink 75 beers at home.
It's not sad. It's fine.
No, that's fine. It's a Wednesday.
Yes.
So, beer festivals, I would love to see more involvement of the community and not just local. Like we have 10 or 12 breweries in the area that can supply that, but that's only 12 breweries. You know? But to have the strip down the 401, all of those breweries could make their way down here, and it wouldn't take long before you've got 40 breweries down here. And as long as you've got the space, I know our downtown is tight. And it's not like we'd ever be able to have a festival of that size downtown. But that's where you spread outside Windsor, Essex County. The county has got so much available space, and half of our breweries are out there anyway.
It's true. Yeah.
So that I think is really cool that we can kind of see that growth there.
And I think the other thing too is with the pandemic kind of, I don't want to say ending, but I just had COVID a couple weeks ago. So
right. Actually, Jason was supposed to be my previous guest, but had to cancel due to COVID.
Yeah. Thanks, Cincinnati. Ryan guys didn't give it to me, I promise. But yeah, I think bringing in the U.S. crowd as well. I think now the borders are kind of opening a bit more. They're becoming a bit more lax with certain restrictions. I'd like to see a lot more tourism from the U.S. coming to Canada, where we do have this really nice craft beer scene that I think does have some differences to the U.S. side with styles and the way that we kind of do things. But yeah, it's just bringing more people over.
That's right. It's going to be hard to pull the Michigan craft crowd over. When they come over, why am I here?
We've got a bar that we have to kind of raise a little bit.
And it's a bar we got to hit too. You're right. There's now that the pandemic is over, to be able to do that and bring more people over here. The only thing that we're missing is the festival itself. We've got the breweries, we've got the talent, we've got the beer. We just don't have the festival. We don't have the space. So, maybe Windsor Beer Festival 2023 might take off a little bit.
That'd be fun.
I'd like to see it happen. So I guess one of the other things that I'd like to talk to you about is it's your birthday today?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've taken your own personal birthday and chose it to spend it here with me on Brew Talk.
I mean, not that I don't love you, Eric. I did kind of forget too
that it was your birthday.
Well, I mean, like we were planning this out. It was like, what day works? And it's like Tuesday. Yeah, that works. I'm not doing anything I love, like you said, I was at work today. Yeah. And I love the guys that I work with, and it just makes the day fun, being around them. So I wouldn't spend it a different way.
Right.
And having the opportunity to talk to you and talk to the people about, our craft and the things that we do on a day-to-day.
What a better gift.
It is. It's fun. This is fun.
Happy birthday
what else would I be doing?
to you. Let's drink another beer.
What do you want to go with?
Well, I still have half a seltzer left, so you open up whatever you want. One of the other topics that we do talk about here on Brew Talk, and I feel like everyone in this industry has a connection to those wonderful four-legged friends. And you yourself don't have one.
No.
Which is fine, but your girlfriend does.
Yep.
And I would like to hear about Otis.
So Otis is an English bulldog. He's quite dopey. There's really nothing behind his eyes. She would say different, but
she's not here.
No, she can't defend herself or Otis for that matter.
Poor Otis. We're supposed to talk happily about our dogs.
Yeah, no,
Don't sit here and rip on Otis for the
lovely.
next 10 minutes.
No, actually, one of the newer things that he started doing, which is adorable. They got him this it's like this little pressure plate thing that they hook up to the sprinkler.
Okay.
And he'll run by, just hit it for a second, like slurp a ton of water, and then just like sprint off again. And it's the funniest thing. He just like a little pit stop, and he's gone.
Water. I gotta go. I got things to do. I got places to be, people to see.
And he'll just fight random things. We're not sure if it's the floaters that are in his eyes or whatever it is, but he'll just like stare off into the distance. And it's like, is it a ghost, Otis? Like, what are you
what are you looking at, buddy?
And then he'll just like square up to it, like the bulldogs. They just like puff out their chests. And he'll start fighting it, but he's chicken shit. That's the thing. Like
he's all talk.
Oh, 100%.
How old is Otis?
I'm on the spot now.
Oh God.
I'm just like 4.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he's not an old man.
No.
Yeah.
I still got some spry energy in there.
Yeah, the 4-year-old bulldog spray. Yeah.
I mean, I'd hope he kind of like calms down sometimes, but she jokes that I'm his best friend, that to the point where she'll say, "Is your best friend coming?" And he like perks up. But yeah, no, I love Otis, and I think I'm still living at home as most people my age I feel are, especially in the Windsor area. God damn.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a cardboard box you can rent behind my house for $1,900 a month plus utilities.
What a deal!
Right? That probably is a deal.
Yeah.
This is why we drink.
But once I move out, eventually, fingers crossed, that'll happen. I think a dog is definitely on the horizon for me.
They're lovely. They're lovely. I've got 3 of them, and they're a handful, but they're lovely. They're a handful. Favorite styles of beer. I mean, we all have, all of them cannot be the answer. It is my answer, but it's not the answer I want to hear. Do you have a favorite style of beer that you like to drink? And do you have a favorite style of beer that you like to brew?
So, favorite style, I'm a sucker for like a good Flanders Red, which it's like the epitome of like beer snob beers, I think. It's like, ooh, what do you guys have? It's like, no, I'll only take a Flanders Red.
That's right, give me a Flanders Sour.
No, but I think like the Flanders Lambics as well, which I don't know if we want to segue from Lambics into another thing that we were talking about earlier, but
we can come back to that.
I think those kind of more traditional wild kind of beers, those are probably my favorite, just because they introduce a lot of flavors that you wouldn't normally get in your traditional styles of beer, or like the beers. Yeah. You get the Bretts in there. Yeah, exactly. But the Brettanomyces, like all the kind of fun flavors that can kind of bring out. The wood aged flavors as well. Those, I love those.
That's awesome. I myself have a hard time with Brett. It's not my favorite, but a lot of people, I get it. But I have had some beers, when you can really get, because there's so much variety in flavors of the Brettanomyces. And when you start getting into, like you said, that wood aged stuff, all right, we've got Brett, throw it in a barrel, done. I'll drink it in a year.
Yep.
And we'll go from there. So would that be your favorite style to drink?
For me, I think it kind of bounces around. Most brewers kind of go through their ups and downs of different things. Where like a year ago, I was like, "Oh no, give me those New England styles, give me those juicy boys,
give me the hazy."
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And not that I don't like them, but you try to you kind of come back around. And we were talking about it earlier. It's like I got volleyball every Friday night that I play, and we get a pitcher of OV, and like sometimes you just crave that. Right? You just want that crushable beer that everybody's going to make fun of you for. But
an OV. I love OV. If I'm somewhere and it's on tap, I'm hard-pressed to not get it. And I don't know why. Is it a Windsor thing? Is it just because it's been every funeral I've ever been to? It's been pictures of OV at the Legion afterwards.
But yeah, like along those lines, it's just those crispy, nice, easy drinking beers, especially in the summer. That's kind of what I'm going for at the moment, but it always changes.
It does vary. You're right.
Yourself?
I'm an IPA guy. I love IPAs. The hoppier the better. I don't want taste buds for months. When I wake up the next morning, I want to burp and taste Centennial hops or something.
Give me that 400 IBU, right?
That's right. Yeah, my tongue burns. Excellent.
Perfect.
But as far as like brewing is concerned, like I love drinking IPAs. I hate brewing them.
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass.
Hate brewing them. Exactly.
Yeah. It's I don't know if anybody's done this before that's listening, but brewing with actual hop cones, don't. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
And just use the pelletized stuff. Go to your local brew shop,
Which is me, which is hilarious though, because probably one of the best beers that I've ever homebrewed. This was a homebrew beer. I grew my own hops in my backyard. I didn't even dry them. I wet hopped. Right.
If you're gonna do it, that's how you do it. Because I've done it before, where you get your harvest from the backyard and you put it
you lay them on a screen.
Yeah,
in your
dry them out, and then you crush them up, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. I've got like a perfect like powdery kind of thing going on, and it just doesn't. It's not fun to work with.
Yeah, no, I ripped them off the vine while I was heating my boil, and then they just went right in. You should have seen my kettle. It was just I was like pounds of it. It was I lost. I think I only went into the fermenter with like 3.5 gallons. Like it just absorbed so much. It was so grassy, the final product, but it was fantastic. Like I was like, man, I wish I could do that right now again, because it hit. I loved it.
Yeah, we do one actually every year, along with like the hop party that Eric was talking about earlier. We get a ton of the freshly picked hops from the hop farm, and we do the moist beer. Moist. A lot of people hate that, but
moist.
Yeah, we do the moist wet hop pale ale, which is a fun one. But along the same lines, actually, we had a couple bottles that we kept on to, and the Brett kind of came back. So there was some Brett that kind of hung on to those hop cones, and it took over. Actually, about a year later, we were like, oh, what are these bottles still doing here? And it's like, you tried, and you're like, oh, this is fantastic. It's completely different now, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, if you've got a year-old IPA, it is a different beer than
it is.
What you made.
Which I think is a little blasphemous sometimes, depending on what kind you're going for.
Yeah.
But
you can only hang on to that so much, though. Like, yes, this is the style. Hops need to be utilized, otherwise those oils are so volatile, you're going to lose it all. But you're right. Like, I've opened beer. Oh shit! What's this in the back of the fridge? Oh crap! This is that IPA I brewed 2 years ago. Well, might as well try it. And oh my god, this is amazing. But I've also had the other aspect. It was like, well, there's a reason why you don't age these beers.
No. So. Actually, I did bring one. Maybe this will be for potentially an after podcast. But we
Brew
did
Talk after dark.
We did an Imperial IPA, or sorry, Imperial Stout with first runnings only, and we did that one. We dosed the bottles with maple syrup. We tried to do like a fun. Make sure you drink this quickly, otherwise
it'll blow up.
Exactly. We didn't hear any complaints, so I guess everybody drank it really quickly, which is nice. But we canned some without the maple syrup, and we've been kind of letting it cellar for a while. I think it was probably closer to like 13%.
Okay, yeah.
And it's so smooth now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dangerous.
Yeah, we aptly named it the Nightcap because we were drinking it after our shifts for a little while there. Where it's like, all right, our Advent calendar days when we finish up those, and it's like 11 o'clock at night. And like, all right, just need one of these, and then we'll go to bed real easy.
Real easy. I'm gonna take a sleep. I also need to Uber home after work.
Exactly.
You mentioned the Advent calendar again. Let's talk about that right now. It is July. When would something like that be available? Do you guys try to get it out before December, or does it release like December 1st? You got to pick it up. So first come, first serve.
Right now, we're trying to like in the next couple weeks, we'll start planning the different beers that we want to go into the Advent calendar. We're gonna sit down with all the guys, try to curate the fun styles and plan out when we need to brew them. So along the same lines, the IPAs are like the fruited ones. We want to do those ones closer to the release date, so you're getting the really fresh kind of hop flavors and the fresh fruit. Whereas like the higher ABV, the darker beers, we're going to start doing those soon, actually, within the next couple weeks for the November 1st or November 31st release, I suppose.
You guys are an awful brewery. There's no way you can plan that far ahead.
Oh. See, we didn't before, and now we've learned. So, yeah, we're going to start planning way earlier.
I have breweries calling me up like while they're in their mash going, oh, so we also need 3 pounds of hops because we...
done that too.
I wasn't gonna name names.
No, it's okay. No, we've done that. No, but it's the planning aspect now, I think is really gonna help us out and put some fun things in. But the next little while, I think we might do some early pre-release on the Advents.
Okay, yeah. Give people a little taste of what you might find in here.
Yeah, we're hoping to potentially do an event with Advents esque style beers to bring people in. That it's like, oh, you're used to the beers that we've had on tap, but like these are the really weird ones.
Right.
That, like this is what you can expect if you want to get into the Advent. Yeah. So hopefully
no
pre-sell some. No
spoilers. I've got an idea what's in there. No spoilers. You mentioned lambics, so let's go back to you. You wanted to segue off lambics there, so let's touch on that a little bit.
So along with my schooling right now, or the biology biotechnology, I did eventually end up going back to school. So I'm currently enrolled right now in the Harriet Watt brewers or brewing and distilling program. It's a master's program. It is distance learning. So I mean the pandemic didn't really affect my education. If anything, it actually gave me more because the on-campus students now had to take online, so they added more content, which is nice. I've finished all the courses now, and it's just the master's project. And just through learning about yeast and how fun and versatile and how many different strains and varieties there are and the different flavor profiles that they can add, I kind of wanted to base my master's project on that. So the last course in the program that I took was actually like planning your master's project and trying to figure out the logistics of it to see what's feasible, what's not, and just kind of rein it in a bit. Because I feel like a lot of us, we have these grandiose ideas of the projects that we want to do. And I did myself. Yeah. So it does need some reining in for sure still. But I do want to go around to Windsor, Essex County and go to the wineries, go to the orchards, go to different areas, even urban settings as well, and try to do these wild captures using different mediums. So the trees, like the bark, leaves, fruits, soil, water, whatever it may be.
Yeast is everywhere.
It is. It's everywhere. Try to capture those, propagate them.
Find the tasty ones.
Exactly. Yeah. Plate them out.
Be still my beating heart, Jay.
I get excited about it.
Now we're at Brew Talk After Dark. It's gonna get a little weird. I love yeast. Yeast is the part of beer that just makes my brewing boner there. It's the yeast. Everyone's like, "Oh, these hops are so good." I'm like, "Shut up about your hops."
So it wakes you up at night.
Yeast. That's right. That's right. It. So that's really cool. I really look forward to seeing what you're gonna come up with doing that, because the idea of the unlimited things that you can do with yeast, you can only do so much with malt, right?
Yeah.
Here's some 2-row. Oh, okay. Best of luck. Oh, there's a couple of different types of 2-row, but your malts are limited. Your hops, even your hops, can be a little bit more expansive because of the constant new strains coming out. It's like weed. Now we're going to have like Thunderfuck IPAs or something. Yeah. And actually made with that hop.
and I mean, like with the hops too, it's just like the terpene levels, right? Yeah. So it's the oils that are found in the hops. They're just in different kind of levels, and that's what gives you the different flavors.
Limonene.
So, yeah, exactly. Pinene. Citronine.
Yeah.
All those fun ones. But
with yeast, it's literally unlimited.
It is.
If I take a sample from my backyard and you take a sample from your backyard, even though we live, relatively close together, they're going to be two different strains. They're going to be two different. You take from two different parts of your yard. I mean, I don't need to tell you. We're telling you. But I really look forward to what that is going to bring, and I assume you're going to utilize a lot of your ability at Craftheads to push that knowledge out. So to be able to, I guess, make these beers and then share them with yeasts that are, and the marketing behind stuff like that is just it's heavy.
You can really get into the hyper local kind of aspect of it, or the hyper I don't know what the term would be, like the time as well. So not to spill too many beans here, but if there was a way to kind of take that the process, really refine it, get it down to a something where you can reliably capture yeast. One of the ideas we had was, say you're at like a wedding or your engagement, and you're beer nerds or whatever it is, or even wine nerds.
Absolutely.
You would be able to capture a moment in time. With the yeast that was there on your wedding night or on your engagement day, where you make a product that is able to be cellared for long periods of time, and
Just like the wedding cake, you crack it a year later.
Exactly, but now it's a lot more fun, when it's alcoholic.
That's right. Yeah, I don't care about eating.
It's not
cake
freezer burned or anything. So I think there's an untapped market there, especially with like the sentimental crowd.
We need to find a new term for things like that. We can't say untapped anymore.
No. We're going to get sued.
That's right.
Fun fact, actually, with one of the beers that's on the table right now.
Yeah.
So this one right here, the Sour Adults, one of the staple beers that we had at Craftheads for the longest time was the Sour Batch Kids. And
with a B.
With a batch.
With a batch.
I want to get sued again. But yeah, as you can see on there, they kind of look like Sour Patch Kids.
I've never seen that before in my life. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it was kind of funny, I guess. One day we got an email from Maynard's Canada saying, "Stop." And we're like, "What?" And so yeah,
cease and desist.
Cease and desist. And it, some people would see it as like, "Oh no." But we were like, we made it. They noticed us. This is great.
Hang that email up in the brewery.
Yeah. So now we've switched. We switched up the label a little bit. So now it's Sour Adults, and we've got the Karens on there with their Karen haircuts, and we've got lawyers on the other flavors as well. So
that's perfect.
And that's you gotta have fun with it, right?
You know what? Yeah. What are you gonna let it? You gonna let it take the wind out of your sails? No. Now you take it and you run with it and go from there. So, absolutely. Well, I guess. Is there anything else you want to touch on that you want to share your story? What do you like to eat on a Saturday night? Pizza?
Ooh. I mean, I'm a foodie, to be honest with you. And I think this is kind of true with most brewers too. Yeah. A lot of us, we love to cook.
Yes.
So actually, I just did one a little while ago. It was a chorizo risotto, which was delicious. Yeah. And I think I still have some leftovers. So I'm going to go home to an empty house. My parents they ditched me for my birthday. They went up to Toronto. So I'm going to go home, have some leftover chorizo risotto.
And cry into a Sour Batch.
Yeah.
Sour Adults.
Yes, exactly. Correct. But chili, I think, is my all-time favorite food.
Nice.
It's one of those that if someone was like, what's the only food you could eat for the rest of your life? I'd be like, chili. 100%. So that was actually my COVID food of choice.
Nice.
Which, I don't know if many other people kind of experience this as well, but I did lose my taste and smell for a couple days, I would say, maybe like 5 or 6 days, which was very scary for someone in the industry.
This industry, I can't taste anything. Yeah. Anyway, all right, settle down, Beethoven, write music.
Well, yeah. So there was actually a point in time when I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to think of a different profession. Like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, oh, I'll cook. And I'm like, no, you can't do that either.
I need this.
So yeah, that was a bit scary. I thankfully came back.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, interesting experiment that I kind of did on myself was, without the ability to taste or smell, eating things with different textures so that you can only experience the mouthfeel, which was really interesting. Ice cream was one of the weirdest ones where it's like, I know this, like you can taste the creaminess even though you can't taste
delicious.
it. Yeah, it coats your mouth still, and I did have a couple different beers as well, which they didn't taste like anything, but like the mouthfeel between like an Irish stout and like a lager. Yeah. You can tell.
Sure.
Which I think is kind of fun.
It would just be another sensory that you would just have to refine. I suppose,
exactly.
Right? But I've already been refining this one for, God, a long time. I don't want to have to start again. I had COVID before it was cool. It was the year before COVID came out. I got sick and I caught whatever the flu was. But I had that same thing. I lost my sense of taste and smell to the point where I actually did eat an onion. I was like, okay, this is weird.
Yep.
I bit into an onion. I'm like, I do not taste this. Why is this happening? And then like later, all these TikTok videos were coming out. People were eating onions, and I'm like, man, I could have made it.
Yeah,
I could have been eating an onion.
You could have gotten 1 million views on that.
I got hipster COVID. It's funny you talk about the cooking though, like that. You're right. Like this. We craft, right? This is a craft. We craft things that we. I don't know about you, but I myself, I brew to my palate.
Yes.
And I just brew to the things that I enjoy. And then if I find something that I enjoy and I share it and people happen to like it, I'm like, oh, cool. And if they don't like it, I'm like, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. You're wrong.
I mean, I personally have like kind of a weird palate compared to other people.
Sure.
There are certain foods that
you like lambics.
Yeah. But I hate other things that are along the same, like Parmesan cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusting. Can't do it at all. And some people love it. They're just like, oh, pour it all on. Give me that cheese crack. And I'm like, nope. It smells like stinky feet.
It smells like feet. It tastes delicious. I don't do brie cheese, so I get you.
Oh, no.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons why we've done some of those weird beers in the past, where we've done the pizza beer and things.
That's great, though.
We're crafting towards a flavor, like a specific flavor profile, which I know some people can appreciate. Some people think it tastes like Nacho Libre's belly button. So, it's the way it is. It's the way it is.
You're going to drink it, and you're going to hopefully like it.
Yeah, at least don't give me an Untapped review where it doesn't have any description, just 0 stars. And it's like, what did I do wrong? Like, this isn't even a weird beer. Like, what? Why? Is it because you didn't like it, or is it because there's something wrong with it? Now I'm like second guessing myself. That's another reason why I don't like it.
Oh, yeah. No, don't read it.
But yeah, we don't have to get into it. Yeah, it's a cardinal sin for
Don't
brewers.
follow your own reviews. I could imagine being like a celebrity on Twitter and like reading people like, you suck. And it's like, I'm a human.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of Brew Talk here.
You haven't gotten any weird comments on the...
No?
No?
Nothing yet, no.
I know what I'm doing later, all right?
Yeah. JB left a comment and no. But you're right. Like, it's you can utilize that and try to... If you're getting 5-star reviews and 1-star reviews, then you're doing something right.
Yes.
But if you're consistently getting the same complaint on something, then sure. Like, so yes, Untapped does have a market that you've got 400 or 500 people tasting your beer, and you know what? I'm sorry. The sommeliers and the cicerones that are out there that can rip apart your beer and taste it, know what's wrong with it. Sure, that's all fantastic, and you're the professional. But I can only sell you one beer. The 500 people that are also leaving reviews on my beer that are giving me 5 stars, and you're the guy that gave me 1 star, I'm brewing for them because they pay the bills.
Exactly. And that's really what it comes down to. And I think that's something that we brewers kind of have to get out of our heads as well, where it's like I think a lot of us were perfectionists. We strive for perfection with certain things. We strive for having the most consistent product.
I just drink my mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, and I think one of the things too is trying to fix your mistakes as well.
Yes.
There was a case with one of our beers it was one of the New Viennas actually, where we pulled it a bit too soon, and I did a lot of research after trying to figure out what exactly went wrong with it. But it had diacetyl in it, which for those of you who don't know, it's a flavor compound that is akin to buttered popcorn or just it leaves like this slick kind of butterscotchy feeling in the mouth.
Which is so funny because you can explain it as that, but to taste it, I don't get that out of it. When I tasted it, like I've tasted enough of it that I could recognize it now, but like buttered popcorn is not the descriptor that I would use for it.
No. But yeah, so this batch, like we test things periodically through the process, and I realized that there is a precursor to diacetyl that has no flavor, no smell, nothing. But when exposed to oxygen, so when you crack open the beer or whatever it is, will convert into diacetyl quite quickly and ruin a beer. So we had tested the beer when it was cold in the tank. We're like, oh, okay, yep, no, it's good to go. Shipped it out, a few kegs. We noticed we were getting some complaints and things. And we're like, oh, okay, we got to go back to it and try to figure out. So we still had quite a large amount in the bright tank. And we're like, okay, taste it. It's like, no, it tastes fine. And we left some out. Sure enough, there's diacetyl that was formed. So we're like, okay, how do we fix this? Because I know we've all done it. We've all dumped beer down the drain. But at the same time, we want to see if there's like a way that we can make this work.
We're dumping 5 gallons down the drain rather than 10 barrels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we actually had a batch of the Fine and Dandy, which is a beer that you worked on as well.
I did.
Fantastic cause.
We can talk about that in a second, but go ahead and
so we used a diastatic saison yeast. So coming back to the yeast, it's full circle. We used a diastatic yeast. We had just shipped out the beer from there. That was all done, and we still had this tank that still had a good cake on the bottom of this yeast. So we were like, you know what? What's the harm in it? We'll ship some in. We'll let her sit for a while. The yeast was still alive, ready to go, and it actually brought back in a lot of that diacetyl flavor, and it came out very clean after that, and nice and dry, clean, had some nice Belgian-y characteristic to it. But I think it just kind of goes to show like the mindset of brewers as well, where we're MacGyvers. Yeah. We try to solve problems with minimal tools that we have, and
fuck it, we're doing it live.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we'll figure it out, we'll make it work.
I'll make it work.
But yeah, if you wanted to talk about the fine and dandy,
we can give a quick comment on the fine and dandy, only because it means so much to you guys, and it definitely hit a little closer to home with me this year. So that fine and dandy project. I mean, if you want to talk about it, by all means, go ahead, and this is your podcast, so don't sit here and listen to me talk.
Yeah, so it's a beer that I was lucky enough to learn about once I got on with Craftheads. It's a beer that we kind of do in dedication to a brewer that we'd lost in the industry that worked at Walkerville Brewing Company. So we had lost him to cancer. So this beer that we do, we kind of take a good portion of the proceeds, donate it to the Cancer Foundation. So Walkerville Brewing Company, Craftheads, and now
this year it was Jake's Windsor Brew.
Jake's Windsor Brew. As well. You guys killed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, your brew was fantastic. The wine is as well. But yeah, I think it's just a really great cause, and it's nice to be in an industry where we can share our craft,
yes,
and use it for good as well.
Yeah, and being part of the reason why we joined in, I lost my wife. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
during the middle of the, being the reason why we did it is I lost my wife in December to cancer as well, and she was a brewer. She liked to brew. I've got pictures of her in Jake's Brew brewing beer with me, and so to become part of Mike's legacy, the Michael Craig, and it was his recipe and everything. That's the recipe. Like, we got the recipe right from Brian, and it was like, okay, here it is. We're going to do this. And we jumped on board because it meant so much to me to be able to be given the opportunity to join that, because like you said, it's the benefit. Like, I want to give back. I want to make sure that we can all, it's this tight-knit community, right? If we all love each other and we're all in this together and we all go through hard times. So if we can donate our time, because that's all that comes down to, is just a little bit of time to donate and a little bit of work and something that we're good at. And if I can do what I'm good at and give back with that, I was honored to be a part of this year.
Yeah.
And this was my first year doing it. And I only see next year growing. Yeah, now that we're a third party, and we're going to push it and to give back to cancer. Cancer, unfortunately, is just something that just affects so many people. And, we've all got a connection to it somehow.
We all know someone.
Exactly. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, mothers, daughters, wives, husbands, children. It's something that we've all experienced. So for me to be able to get on board with that this year, it was more than just brewing beer to me. It was doing something for the greater, and I was so happy to be a part of it. And luckily for me, the beer turned out great.
Oh yeah. No, it did.
So to be able to put that out there and like to sit down and with my friends and family, people that were really close to Victoria, to sit down and drink the beer that I brewed for her. But we also drank the Craftheads Fine and Dandy. Like I went in and I bought a 6-pack of you guys, and then I had a 6-pack of mine, and we had friends and family over, and I had friends and family help me with ours. Like it was all, everyone just put their hat in, and that's just something so cool to be a part of. And going back to, where do you see Windsor, Essex County going? Myself, I want to see more benefits, more let's give back, because we're all human.
Oh, 100%.
We're all involved. There's things that happen to you and me. So
yeah, I think like we've done other benefits before. We did one with Craig Gnip. We did the Gnippa IPA. That one went to the Humane Society. I think they're actually bringing it back this next couple.
I think so.
A week or so. I think actually on this Friday.
Yeah.
That one was another phenomenal one that I got to work on with Chapter 2. But yeah, I think being able to take our craft, being able to really give back to the community as well, give back to the people that pay our paychecks,
right,
which is nice.
Exactly. I don't even want to get paid anymore. I just want to do things for benefits, right? Like, and of course, like, okay, so if I can give into cancer and I can give into the Humane Society, well, that counts dogs, and I'm in, you know, like, but we will do more than that. And That's the thing. So anyone listening, if you're looking for benefits or any, come talk to any brewer because we will probably jump on board. Oh, brew beer for a special cause? We're in.
Yeah.
Brew beer without a cause? We're probably also
We're still doing it.
We're still
might as well have a cause, right?
Well, on that kind of down note, we're going to crack open this whiskey here.
Yes.
Brew Talk After Dark, so we'll do it off camera. Jay, thank you so much for being here tonight on Brew Talk. I really appreciate it. And once again, thank you to our sponsor, Erie Street Gastropub, for providing us this place that we can do what we love, and that's drink beer and talk about beer. And with that, I think we'll call it a night. Cheers. So cheers, Jay. Cheers to all of you.
That was good. That was fun.